Okay, you guys, this is our little next YouTube video. I want to discuss drain clogs. They can be very difficult to deal with, and I can't give you all the information here in this one little YouTube video, but hopefully I can help you out with at least some information, and maybe you might find some of it interesting and might be applicable in the location where you're at. Okay, so let's get into it little by little. There are various types of clogs, whether they be in the tub, whether they be in a sink, kitchen sink, bathroom sink, even toilet clogs. Lateral clogs, main clogs, larger pipes outside. So it gets crazy really fast for us. I've been doing snaking lines for over 20 years, 2 decades. I've used various types of snakes, various type of chemicals, various types of equipment, and I go through some of that I have here in front of you. Okay, I can't go through everything. I mean, it would take me a long time to really discuss all the intricacies of just a little bit you see here in front of you, but I'll do the best I can. All right, we'll start with these guys here. There are various type of chemicals you can use in drain clogs. Before we get into this, I would just want to say, if you see that you're having a slow drain, that would be the time to attend to that clog, because it's already progressing to the point where you're going to have more difficulty, or the person trying to get the clog out is going to have more difficulty. So I'm going to suggest you call someone when you see it's running slow. If I started at kitchen sinks, I would say most of the time our kitchen sink clogs are usually food matter, vegetable matter. It's very tough, and once it starts sticking to the pipes and soap starts sticking to the pipe and other foods like oils and grease and stuff, it tends to get clogged pretty quickly. A lot of times when you see things running slow, you can actually fill up the sink with hot water, and while the sink is filled up with hot water, if you can pull the stopper, let it go under pressure, you can actually loosen things up and you can clear lines. So even if your sink is not clogged, filling it up with hot water and letting that go can actually keep a line unclogged longer. Doing that practice per se every 2 weeks or once a month, something like that. I'm not trying to suggest you waste water, but trying to keep your lines clear. Okay. After that, trying to keep your lines clear. You can use different type of chemicals to unclog your drains, and I'm gonna go against one. The one I'm gonna go against is the crystals. If you find a container of crystals, Drano, whatever it is, if it has crystals, it usually can get hard in the bottom of the trap. The P-trap. Let's see if I got one here to illustrate. Okay, usually at the bottom of the sink, you'll have something like this. And it's basically to have water sitting there so the sewer gases do not come back in the apartment. And if you put a crystal in there, they don't tend to go down the drain very good. They tend to sit in the bottom of the trap and tend to make additional clog. So I'm going to go against the crystals. Do not use that stuff, okay? Liquids are better. In the old days when we started out, they had all kinds of stuff. They still have all kinds of stuff. And different things work better in different locations. You want to see what kind of plumbing you have, or try to find out before you buy chemicals so you don't buy the wrong stuff and damage your pipes in your location. Okay, Jesus, what did we use? Muriatic acid, sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, and all kinds of different stuff. This particular one is alkaline. Which is unique because alkaline is, I believe, is supposed to be the opposite of acid, such as lemons are alkaline. So if you have heartburn, you take pure lemon juice from a lemon, not concentrate. It can actually reduce the acidity and stop your heartburn. You shouldn't water it down with water, but this is how this works. It's alkaline, it's not acid. Okay. This particular one and others, you'll put in the drain, and you have to read the instructions because they work differently. They don't all work the same. This particular one, you're not supposed to use hot water after you put it down. You're supposed to wait, whether it be an hour or 3 hours, and then actually run cold water for a couple of minutes. If you run hot water and this is in the drain, it can steam up and actually become almost explosive. Usually with all these liquids that I mentioned, sulfuric acid, muriatic acid, hydrochloric acid, they're usually water-based. So if you get it on your skin, it starts to burn, you have to water it down and just wash your skin for a while, and you should be just fine. You shouldn't leave it for a long time in your skin if you get it on your skin. Using gloves, eye protection is a good idea with liquids because it can splash. Okay, I'm not going to give you the name of this particular one because we're talking about chemicals in general. That's second line of defense after trying to keep your lines clear using hot water. Okay, loosen up the debris, grease, oils, whatever's in the line. Okay, additional lines of defense, you'll see different things from different manufacturers. You'll see different pump devices, water ram, kinetic pump. This is a pro grade one made by General. These work fine in locations if the clog is before the air vent. If it's after the air vent, you're pushing water or air through the vent and you're not quite getting to the clog. So these can work fine in short clogs where they're not prolonged down the pipe. You usually can pump this up to about 5 to 15 psi. I don't recommend much more than that. Most people will tend to, like when I first started, will tend to let it go in one shot. Okay, recently I was watching a plumber do it, and I watched him do it, and I asked him a few questions, and he explained to me, really, the better thing to do is to get it up to like over 15 psi, maybe 25, and let it go real slowly. But just hold it there, and let the water and pressure hopefully hit the clog and push it out. And that seemed to, I've been using that lately, and that seems to work a lot better these days. Not using the pump in one shot, but let it go, let the pressure go slowly and have more pressure inside the pump. Different type of fittings for different size clogs. I've even seen it with an extension where you can stick it in the toilet, put newspaper in the toilet. That was suggested years ago, maybe 15 years ago, when I first started using something like this, or longer than that. There are different ways to do this. I don't suggest putting newspaper in the toilet. I suggest using a toilet auger. That seems to work the best in most locations. Most of the time. Okay, I don't suggest this for, I suggest this for bathroom sinks, possibly kitchen clogs. Sometimes we have double drains, different locations. You might have to use a plunger on one side, but these work really good. I can't speak for these ones that are made out of plastic that you buy in department stores. I can't speak for those. I can only speak for this one. Works really good. Okay, hopefully that's enough on that one for now. People might ask me questions later on, and I might hopefully be able to illustrate a little bit better. Okay? This is a power snake made by General Wire. A lot of refills people use, even if they're using a rigid power drill snake like this, they might use General Wire refills. They come different sizes, and no BS. I've used some 1/4 inch up to 1.25 inches, and people will say, "What do you mean 1.25 inch snake? They don't come that big." Well, there's something called a worm or eel, depending upon your location, and they're usually 8 foot to 10 foot sections, and you snap them together, and it's the size of my wrist, and they're made for like 6-inch lines. There was a time I was using one almost every day for months, where there was a line broken main underneath a 50-unit building. It was one building, it had 50 units in it, and it was probably 400 feet long. The only reason I know that because I used to excavate the French drains and change them when they break, when they used to get clogged outside with an excavator. But that's where I used the worm, what we used to call it up north. I don't know what they call it here, but for the most part, most people will use 1/4 inch to 3/8. In bathrooms, sinks, usually you have to take the trap out to get to the line. In the tub, usually you go through the overflow because it's a straight run through the trap. If you try to go through the drain line, it hits a T, and there usually is not a Y there. I've never really seen a Y there, so you have to kind of finagle the snake. So it's usually better to go through the overflow. Take the cover off, and you get straight to the trap, and hopefully you can make that bend. The 1/4 inch tend to work better there because you're not trying to break anything, you're not trying to force anything. At times we have had to break the head off and put a bend on it so it can make the bend. Sometimes you'll run into a place where there's a vent there, and you'll have to hold the snake and pull it in reverse so you can make that bend. It's not always that easy. So 1/4 inch is probably the most common. 5/16, which is what we have here, we use for the kitchen sink laterals because we got 3-inch there. And I'm not trying to break anything. I can use up to 3/8, but I don't know what's in the wall, and The location I'm at now is about 40 something years old, whatever. So I tend to use 5/16. I won't use 3/8. Up north where we worked in high rise, I would use 3/8. No problem. Once I got past the 2-inch line, it would make the bends and I'd be fine. Okay. You don't want to force these. One of the two worst clogs that we use with snakes would be a hair clog or a grease clog. A lot of people will tend to use the liquids, and they hopefully work. And they work good 50% of the time. Other times they don't work. Usually it's a hair clog there. Even the kinetic pumps won't push out a hair clog. They usually compact it. It can make a clog worse in a heartbeat. This is where a snake comes in, and it takes time to get feel for it, to fish it down the line, to feel when you're at a bend, to feel when you hit a clog, to pull it back. Grease clogs are some of the worst ones if they're really thick, because you'll have to work the snake back and forth, pull it out. The grease come back again, break it again. I mean, you can work on a grease clog for a good 30 minutes trying to get it out, and sometimes you have to work a little longer. Sometimes you'll get through it, you'll get it right out. This all depends on the tenant. How long the clog's been there. Do they wait till the last minute? I always suggest to tenants when I go to get a clog and I have a hard time, please don't wait. Most of the time they listen to me, but sometimes they don't. We have to go back and it gets worse. But hair clogs have a different feel. Grease clogs have a different feel. Grease usually tends to come out grayish, whitish, smell really bad. Hair clogs, you'll see it around the front of the snake, stuff like that. Again, you don't want to force with a snake. You want to work it down the line. Get a feel for it little by little. You can rent these at different locations, Home Depot, such like that. I'm not sure about Lowe's. I know Home Depot has rental centers, and I used to rent these at times, depending upon where I was at. So you can rent these, but you want to be careful with these and try to figure out what the right size snake is. If you're doing less than 2 inches, a 1/4 inch is better. If you're doing at 3 inches or larger, then 3/8 or 5/16 will work better for you. Okay, 3/8 is recommended if you're at a 3-inch stack. There's a clean out there and you're going down. You know everything is 3 inches. Excuse me. You're going to use a 3/8. 5/16 because I'm being careful. All right, in between 3/8 and a 1/4, and there is a difference. Some of them have a wire in between, so they're stiffer. This one has a wire in between. It's stiffer. You can buy some of them without a wire. I don't know what else to say for today. I think I gave you as much general information, basic information I can. This is my first YouTube video with my XH1, my Fuji XH1. I don't know how it's going to come out, so I got a lot of things to test here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. You have questions for me, leave them in the comments below. Put out your experience, what you do, how you do it differently than me. Doesn't mean I do it the right way all the time, just means this was what has worked for me in the past. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.